Hello, welcome back for another lecture in criminology. In today's lecture, we will be talking about the classification of crime according to social status as defined by Edwin H. Sutherland. So before we proceed to that, I would like to thank everyone for supporting me by subscribing and watching our lectures. And if you're not yet a subscriber, consider clicking down the subscribe button below. Thank you. As I have stated, we will be talking about the two classification of crime according to Edwin Sutherland. So basically, we have the upperword crime and then the underword crime. Upperword crime is also termed as the white collar crime, and the underword crime is also known as the blue collar crime. So what is interesting in this classification is that they classify the group of criminals according to their social status as a factor. So let's talk about the white collar crime first, or the upperword crime. So in our society, we are divided into social status such as the upper class, middle class, and then the lower class. Sino yung nabibilang doon sa tinatawag nating upper class? So upper class are those individuals who have social power, have social influence, and of course, most likely, they have the financial resources to sustain their status. So, in short, sila yung mga tinatawag nating mayayaman or nakakaangat sa ating lipunan. And then we have the lower class, sila or tayo naman, or ito naman yung classification wherein o sakto lang o nasa kulang yung kanilang finances. So, in short, sila yung nasa poverty level. This social class is very much important in classifying the crime based on the classification provided by Edwin Sutherland. In our country, or most of the law enforcement activities is focused on the underword crime, or yung tinatawag nating blue collar crime. Bakit kaya ganun? So, before we proceed on to that, let us first discuss the distinction between the two. So, pag sinabi nating upperword crime or white collar crime, these are crime that is committed by those individuals who hold social power, who are in the upper status or upper class on the society, and so on. So they are also crime that is non-violent in nature. The focus mostly of white collar crime or upperword crime is for financial gain. What are the examples of this? So we have crimes like tax evasion, violation of the labor code. You see the nature. These are crimes that can only be committed if you hold a certain position in the society. Diba? For tax evasion, syempre, even middle class individuals will be also committing that. But most likely kasi, yung mga crime na ganito is committed by those individuals who have big businesses, who have big companies, and so on. So, malakihan sila yung mga nagko-commit nito. Other types are like money laundering, what else? Smuggling, and so on. So, these are the types of crime that can be considered as white-collar crime or upper word crime. So, kailangan mo ng social position, and you need to have money in order or for you to be able to commit that crime. In contrast to that, we have the blue-collar crime, or yung tinatawag nating underword crime. These are crime committed by ordinary individual, and mostly they are violent in nature. such as pickpocketing, robbery, ano pa? Crimes involving physical assault, homicides, murder, and those types of crime. Some crime committed by the underworld can also be focused on financial gain, but when it comes to the amount of money involved, upper world crime or white collar crime have more money involved, considering the nature of the crime committed there. In short, malakihan kung when it comes to monetary gain na mapapala ng isang tao na nag-commit ng crime in these two types of crime, upper world and underworld, mas malakihan ang involved na pera doon sa upper world crime. Ngayon, I mentioned to you earlier that the focus most likely of the law enforcement is the underworld crime or the blue collar crime. This is by the reason that blue collar crime or underworld crime is much more obvious than its counterpart. Mas obvious po kasi yung mga blue collar crime. Mas nakikita natin or nila as member of the law enforcement yung mga ganong krimen. There are also many crime committed that is classified as white collar crime, but the problem is they are not obvious and they are very well protected. Have you noticed with regards to the fight on illegal drug campaign of the president of the current administration today, in this date, many of the people complains that why it only focuses on small-time drug pusher, seller, and user. Why not focus on big-time personalities that are involved in this drug problem? One thing that I can say is that the protection that this individual involved in this problem is very different. So if you are a big-time dealer, definitely you have connection to the government, you have connection to other people who would be willing to take the risk to protect you and so on. While those individuals who are small time in these types of crime, they don't have the protection like those big time pushers or dealers and so on. So that's the difference. Kaya ang napupuruhan ng drug campaign natin most likely are those small time individual. Kasi whether the law enforcement would like to catch all these persons or personalities involved in this, whether they are big or small, what plays part in this thing is their protection. So let's say, for example, you're a police officer and you wanted to catch these dealers, big-time dealers in this drug problem. But you cannot do that unless no one from the government or no one from the society really protects or provides protection to those dealers. So the problem is not only the law enforcement. The problem is the corruption in our society itself. So sabi natin kanina, white-collar crime are harmless, less violent. But it does not mean that we should not focus or we should not take action in these types of crime since they're harmless. Although they might not involve acts of killing, torturing, or so on, but then it greatly affects our economy. Yung corruption na yan, though walang namamatay directly from that action, but then if you are going to look in its widest perspective, mapapansin natin that it has more damage, it causes more damage not only to the life of one individual, but in our country as a whole. So let's say, for example, blue-collar crime comparing to white-collar crime. A person robbed a single businessman, and in doing that crime, shot the person. So that's very violent. The- While white-collar crime, nothing physical was involved. Walang pananakit na involved. But then, let's say for example, a certain public official corrupts the fund intended for medical program that the government should be doing. So the budget was for medical purposes, medical innovation, but then a certain government official pocketed all those money. So no physical harm was done, but then if you're going to look into its long-term effect, which caused more damage to the society? The crime committed in the blue-collar crime might incite fear to the general population, but what happened in the white-collar crime is will cause more damage than what happened in the blue-collar crime. So that is how we distinguish white-collar crime from blue-collar crime. Dito na kasi pumapasok yung mga, issues natin with regards to the society, but that will be covered in another discussion. There are a lot of theories that discusses how unfair the society is in treating the different type of criminal. There are individuals who would be complaining like pag mahihirap ang nag-commit ng crime, they will surely be punished. On the other hand, pag mayayaman ang nag-commit ng crime, they get away from being punished. So there are a lot of factors to this. No? But everything will always go down to the issue of corruption. Because if there is no corrupt individual, there will be no such unfair treatment regardless of your social status. Diba? That is really our problem, not the whole justice system, but those person who holds the responsibility in giving or delivering justice to individual. The problem is not the system, but the persons who are manning it. So there is a distinction between white-collar crime and blue-collar crime. White-collar crimes are crimes committed by those who belong to the upper class of the society. White-collar crime is otherwise known as the upper world crime. Blue-collar crime are crimes committed by the member of the society who belongs to the lower class. Blue-collar crime is otherwise known as underworld crime. So that's it for this lecture. If you have question, you may comment down below. I will try to answer as long as I can, and I will try to give you my own insights in this topic. So thank you and God bless.